Hopefully as we get into the meat of the presentation, we'll have most everybody on board here. So this is a collaboration between Retail Pro and UniteU, talking about the next generation store, achieving omnichannel with Retail Pro. We're excited to be presenting this together. My name is Mike Montrose. I lead the sales and marketing at UniteU. We'll introduce our speakers here in a moment. Just a quick context about the webinar series. This one is a joint presentation between UniteU and Retail Pro. We've got upcoming ones that will include the next one, I believe, is omnichannel payments. We'll have some of the Cayenne team joining us for that one. We have another webinar that will feature an industry analyst, so we'll get some third-party perspective on sort of the omnichannel space, some of the best practices, as well as some of the unique things that exist between Retail Pro and UniteU that are interesting more broadly. We also have the last of the series will be quite interesting. We'll have retailers who have implemented omnichannel solutions, and they'll be sharing some of their best practices, experiences, and some of the results they've been getting. By way of introduction of the two companies, the relationship, our relationship spans about 12 years. We've been working and serving similar clients in the similar ecosystem during that time. And especially over the last 2 years, our companies have been collaborating to deliver on the promise and opportunity of omnichannel retailing. And so we are excited to share what we've developed, some of the early implementations and what those have yielded. We believe that this is truly an example of great synergy where two parts equal more than the sum of the two parts are more than the individual entities themselves. The objective of this initiative has been around creating the best possible modern retail experience for customers, for retail customers, and ultimately driving your revenue growth in your business. So by way of introduction, Alexandra Frith is joining us. She leads the global marketing for Retail Pro International. She's got extensive experience in brand value creation and transformations. As Director of Marketing for Retail Pro, Alexandra develops creative strategic solutions to build market relevancy and position businesses for growth across the Americas, EMEA, and Asia. So we're excited to hear from her today, as well as Shemaine Das, who prior to founding UniteU had led international internet-related initiatives at Xerox. He founded UniteU 16 years ago, brought together a stellar engineering team with deep retail experience, and the solution and the vision back then was to create a SaaS model that would unite retailers' customers online with what they were doing in the stores. And truly the market and the customer expectations have sort of caught up with that vision today, and certainly omnichannel is a goal that many are trying to achieve, and a lot of retailers we talk to are just saying, look, how do I get wheels on the road? And so hopefully through this series we'll be able to dive in and be able to understand that better. So without further ado, let me pass it over to you, Alexandra.
Thanks for the introductions, Mike. Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on which part of the regions around the world you're from, and thank you for joining us. What we want to discuss here today is why omnichannel? So why are we discussing those concepts here today? The concept was actually first introduced by the industry at NRF, from what I remember, in 2010. And starting from that point forward, the industry media, all of our plates, all of our industry analyst reports, and strategic plans were filled with trying to define what will omnichannel mean for the business, what will omnichannel look like, and what it should really look like for your business. So when we look at that, we have the benefit of learning from the first movers and seeing what does it truly mean to define omnichannel for the store. And back in the day, a lot of people were talking about the shift to the digital and the potential death of the brick and mortar store. And what we've learned is that all channels evolved, all channels matured. And really what we are left with today is a convergence. and the cohesion of all the different pieces that tell the retail story. So we're focusing on the evolution of the retail, and the dramatic evolution at that, because in the last 5 years we've seen more dramatic change in retail than we've seen in the 50 years prior to that. So what has upped the ante? What has really changed in the market? And quite a few things, actually, because when you start thinking about it, us as consumers, not just us as retailers or us as business owners, we are encountering lots of different things in the marketplace, from the omnipresent connectedness and access to plethora of information about the products, about the services, about how we want to do business, about how we want to connect with customers and each other, to tier 1 companies and web giants like Amazon offering same-day delivery, which is what they're piloting right now as an evolution on top of their one-day delivery that they have been offering for quite a while now, and which has been a wild success, to the retailers who've been the traditional brick-and-mortar retailers evolving to offer immediate fulfillment options for their shoppers. So no longer do you have to wait for a week to get an item that maybe wasn't in stock in your location close to your home. Maybe you want to transfer an item. Maybe you want to get a few different options that you want to come in and look at the same time. Maybe you'd like to explore alternative pickup locations, so your local post office would have it. So basically what we're looking at is the customer buying journey has evolved, and from the customer perspective was the first foundational piece from which the omnichannel started to become more defined and moving away from a nebulous soft concept to becoming really a more defined look. Basically looking at how is awareness and the omnipresence of advertising, images across Pinterest and all the different social media, the opportunities to transact and interact online across all the different retail platforms, to post-purchase contact, an ability to promote, to really leverage the social aspect, the ability to leverage the greater retail community around the world and not just the pod that's close to your home. So how can you create an environment where your retail journey becomes as personalized as it had been 50 years ago when you knew the store clerk and they knew your family and they could provide that very intimate shopping experience, to the modern day when you can still have that intimate shopping experience that's tailored exactly to your needs, but in the modern environment with all the channels coming together and fulfilling on that need. So customer expectations, as you see on the slide right now, I don't want to go over the stats too much. You can read that on the screen. The bottom line is expectations have changed. We can no longer continue doing what we were doing 10 years ago. We can no longer continue maintaining the status quo and saying, I am just going to do what I've always done because it's been successful. The environment has changed. And a lot of retailers are expecting completely different treatment. 73% expect to have a pickup in store option. But from our research, we're seeing very small single or very low double-digit percentage of the retailers who are offering it right now. 89% expecting to have the in-store inventory for products being available online, so they have that visibility, so they know what's in stock before they go into the store, so they can save themselves a trip. And then, of course, the retailer benefit. And the retailers are expecting that when they do venture on this path to omnichannel and to merging all the different disparate opportunities for engagement with the customer, they will see that revenue bump. They will see significant growth to the total value of customer. So a lot of things have changed in the market. And that brought us to partner with our partners at UniteU to discuss what specifically definition of omnichannel can look like as far as a business proposition goes. What does it mean for a retailer to become omnichannel today? And there's so many different ways and flavors how you can define that, and as definitely demonstrated by the first movers in the marketplace, that it took some time to really pare it down and say, okay, what can be the foundational pieces so each of our customers can go out and use the tools to build their own omnichannel strategy and then implement it with the tools offered by Retail Pro and UniteU. So a lot of feature definitions came to be, but at the end of the day, they're driven by the marketplace. So when you look at the first movers, when you look at people who were able to invest into this from the get-go, all the tier 1 retailers, whether it be Nordstrom, whether it be Home Depot, whether it be the Targets of the world, they had the funding, they had the enterprise tools to be able to put in millions upon millions of dollars to define ways they can engage with shoppers better. What we have done here today and what we want to talk to you about in the next 30 minutes is really the fact that our partnership and our expertise and know-how in the retail space made those tools available to you now and today. Shemaine?
Hi, Alexander. Just as a point, though, I'm going to go through fairly quickly on this, but we do have a Q&A question section later on, and I believe on your interfaces you should be able to ask questions. So if you do want to start plugging in there and asking questions, Mike is going to try and read that back to us a bit later on. So yeah, hi, I'm Shemaine Das. Thanks for coming. What I'm going to go through quickly here is just to give you some of the foundational work that we did over the last 2 years to take what we've been doing over the last, I suppose, 12 years to this next step. And key, a key aspect of the of any omni-channel strategy is really having these really key and tight integration aspects. Enterprise-wide inventory, a shopper in the store needs to be a shopper on the web or mobile. So those are the kind of key things that we've been focusing on over the last few years, and we've got it right. And we have this stuff operational now, making sure the enterprise-wide, inventory capability is between Retail Pro and ourselves, using their core technology and our core technology to make sure that all this stuff is scalable and accurate. So that's really what I'm going to talk about a little bit here. We use the standard Retail Pro interpolling communications modules to make sure that we actually integrate very well with Retail Pro. So we've had a lot of experience throughout the years in doing this, and we hook that up to the UniteU platform, which is again about 15 years old, to actually really provide enterprise capable websites and mobile sites. And I think if you look through the internet retailer stuff, there's a number of times that we've presented as a pioneering vendor, not only in mobile, but I think this year we also presented at the Internet Retailing Show on the main track, talking about omnichannel as well. So, part of it is what we had to do was to revamp some of the polling processes to make sure that we can scale this. What took hours before, and it takes minutes now, to be able to really scale with hundreds of thousands of SKUs multiplied by the locations to make this happen. We also found that we actually had to produce operational capabilities to get around some of the operational issues that everybody faces in stores, like managing accounts and that kind of stuff, as well on a local basis, and integrating that in, making sure, a salesperson in wherever store still was recorded as the person who actually would get credit for that particular sale, and all those type of things is what we put into the thought and the technology. So that's really what we did, but I want to give you a bit, so I'm going to give it back to Alexander just to give a bit more perspective on Retail Pro and UniteU. So Alexander, I think back to you.
Sure. So Shemaine just mentioned one very key thing, and he said scalability was a concern, and we wanted to make sure that we hit that nail on the head with as much precision as possible. And the reason for that is because many of you have been doing business with Retail Pro, or at least have come across Retail Pro in the marketplace, and you know that we are headquartered in the United States, and the fact that we have representation on all the continents. But at the end of the day, our breadth of presence in the marketplace is second to none. So one of our key missions when it comes to serving retail is the fact that we pride ourselves on providing borderless retail. But borderless for us doesn't just mean geographical borders. It also means channel borders. It also means ability to support all of our retail customers across 99 countries where we do business right now, and with all of the plethora of stores and points of sales that they have. So a partnership that would allow us to support this core mission that we have was absolutely critical. So taking into consideration the 4 key principles that are behind the Retail Pro value prop in the marketplace and what we consider our core hallmarks, our core DNA. We focus on the fact that we want to be the backbone for your retail. We want to be the solution that you take with you as your needs evolve, as your solution evolves, as your business grows and crosses channels, as your business grows and crosses geographical borders. We have many retail customers that you can see actually on the next slide that have started out with us when they were just 1 or 2 stores, maybe like a store that you know that your family's been shopping in for years, and then grew into multi-billion-dollar enterprises around the world. And that's really what we really pride ourselves on, is being able to be the platform and the launching pad for retail success for our customers. So when you think about Retail Pro, I want you to think about the fact that we define retail the way you define retail, because we see ourselves as the platform, as the foundation for your retail strategy, regardless whether it be for your physical stores, your brand stores, your outlets, your franchises, your store-in-stores, or whether it be online through a plethora of omnichannel initiatives. Shemaine, back to you.
Okay, so just backing up a little bit, a bit of history about UniteU. I started UniteU about 15 years ago with this whole thought process that these two worlds are going to be colliding, and I think my thought process then was 2 things. One was SaaS. We weren't called SaaS then, but that was one part of it. The other part of it was we had to actually provide, we put our chips in with the bricks and mortar retailers, providing them the same or better tools to do that. And initially that was, e-commerce only tools, and over the last 3-4 years, I'm happy to say, we've had these plans for 5 or 6 years. People have realized that omnichannel has really been the key here as well. So, we've always strived to make sure that the shopper integration, for example, consumer integration in Retail Pro, et cetera, has been very tight. We are a level 1 PCI DSS provider. One of the few actually on the Visa site. So we are actually able to cover PCI very, very tightly. From a breach perspective, especially, we're actually certified not only as a hosting provider, but we're also certified as a gateway. So we can look after your money and your transaction processing, which is very important because it means we can route transactions all over necessary and actually do the reporting that's necessary to back all this omnichannel thing up. So that's really so that's that, but I just wanted to let you know that we're fully fledged from an e-com perspective. We have a very powerful platform, taking as much data as we can out of Retail Pro, and I'll show you some tools of how we actually can take that data and enhance it operationally, but we actually have a good platform. I encourage you to try all these sites that in URLs that you'll see during the presentation, obviously from websites to tablet sites to the mobile site, which is gaining more and more importance. We do actually have a unique technology which is called hybrid responsive design type sites that actually allow our sites our mobile sites to perform really well under 3G and 4G conditions. We actually take responsive and split the packages up so that actually we only deliver to an iPhone what the iPhone needs. It's still responsive from a perspective of sizing, etc., but we don't actually we don't need to deliver the desktop site down to the mobile site and things like that. So, so we actually do have a first-class capability in that technology as a side, and that's the foundation aspects of it. So any of these sites that you see here, please, or more, you can try them out on your mobile phones right now, and you'll see that. So going on to the more technical aspects of things, as I said, we actually do connect in with Retail Pro using their some core technology that's been developed, I think, over the last 5 years, if I remember correctly, which is the new generation of data transfer between Retail Pro. We actually plug in straight away into that, and that gives us amazing amount of information. We actually have the ability to take basically in-store inventory across the enterprise and shadow that inventory up on our side, but we're also able to do things like adjust inventory levels coming back and forth. So sometimes I know operationally retailers are challenged by making sure, what store A may have some really good accuracy on inventory and store B not so good. We have the ability to intercept and manage some of that data for you to say, okay, maybe if that particular store isn't that accurate, we can actually say, okay, well, let's put a setback for that store that maybe only 20%. We always say a setback of 20% or something like that for that particular store. So we have a lot of that capability. The web catalog management, we take all the core information that we can out of Retail Pro. We actually we developed mapping tools to data shape that information to make it web presentable. So things like codes, you can use standard codes from merchandisers and things like that, say for example ABB, maybe coming from a merchandising aspect of things, we can translate that on the fly. It comes into our system to say, okay, it's an Abbott, and we can use that in the descriptions for the web or mobile. And it's a very flexible tool. We actually regenerated all this the last few years when we realized for years we were having to actually clean up merchants' data, and we found that we can abstract that out to a tool that actually can do intelligent things to, so for example, I think that one there, I think we use a code to actually say, hey, made in responsibly in Indonesia out of a code, just from a source code. The other thing on the omnichannel aspect of is besides getting the information into different locations and through levels, I mentioned setbacks, we can set setbacks, but the other key thing is that you can choose which inventory is used for the web. We have some of our merchants just using inventory for just basically for e-commerce, warehouse, but other times they can actually use their store inventory and leverage that for e-commerce as well. Which actually makes your inventory management much more efficient. But on the other hand, you can also just display inventory for in-store pickup type operations as well. So omnichannel isn't just about providing in-store pickup, it's also about leveraging your inventory positions across your enterprise as and when necessary. We've also implemented tools that allow you to do things like ship from store as well, or certain stores, depending on the operational capabilities of that particular store, or how you want to actually arrange that. So we have all these different workflows that can be manipulated to deal with all this kind of capability, and that's been a big enterprise on our side to get this infrastructure ready to be able to support omnichannel in all these aspects. So keep going, Amanda. Okay, and this is an example of what we developed here to actually help the communication process. So the example in this particular case here, if you wanted to actually pick up in store, yes, we'll be displaying the inventory, will allow people to pick their store that they want this to be picked up on. And pick up in store we usually define as something that is actually want to be picked up within 30 minutes. So here we're actually saying the customer or the consumer places the order, we know where they want it picked up. We've already checked to make sure that theoretically that actually is in stock in that store. So what we've produced interfaces that allows, hey, okay, I'll alert the store manager or whoever is by SMS and or email that someone's coming in within 30 minutes to actually pick this up. We do things like, okay, let's do this, alert them. The idea is that then they actually segregate that inventory and actually assign it into the pickup location. And when it actually arrives there, they can actually go to this interface and say, okay, it's ready for pickup, and that's the time that we would actually message the consumer, who's obviously waiting in the car park, to run in and get it. That's I'm assuming you've used these kind of pickup mechanisms before from Home Depot, etc. That's when you get to say it's ready for pickup, and that actually assures the consumer that they're actually ready to actually get there. So going into some case studies. This is an example of one of our customers, of a joint customer of ours up in Maine, that has seen some really good results on that. You'll notice here from a messaging perspective, they actually chose to display how many was available from an availability perspective. Some of our customers choose not to do that, and that's fine. We actually can say things like in stock, quantity available, or we can just say it's in stock and available, and if it gets low, we can say here it's in stock but call to confirm. All that kind of messaging is very, very prevalent on that. And we launched this, I think, last October. This is Topher. I think Topher's going to be presenting later in the series. But he did really get some measurable results from just doing inventory location display. We're actually working with him today, literally today, on another capability that is to do with the fact that he put all his stores inventory online. I think it's 7 stores in this particular one, and he's using that, and we're actually working on a project that's also omnichannel, but essentially allocating the orders that come in to various different stores and to transfer back, if necessary, items that may have been ordered. Hence, he's leveraging his whole enterprise inventory. Another customer of ours, Erik's Bike Store. They've got some 22 stores. We've been a long-term customer of ours. From a digital perspective, as far as e-commerce is concerned, as you can see, we've had a number of years of great growth on the e-commerce aspect. But we started doing omnichannel with them, I think maybe about 4 years ago, so they were very much an early adopter, and we actually presented them with them at the Internet Retailer Show this June, and the challenges were basically the same. Is the item available at the store? And I'm disappointed if it's not there. So with all those kind of challenges that we actually wanted to solve, and we actually did do Find in Store, and we launched it. I said it's almost 5 years ago. Oh my gosh! And it actually did produce some really great results. And then last year we did Ship to Store, and this actually had even greater benefits on that. They were able to get around some vendor restrictions. The Find in Store aspects, it's basically was automated, and again, the consumers were very conditioned to expect this. And as you can read the results in here, well, they had some really transported. This really did affect positive their business. I think we've got a slide about their business results later. Is that next? I think. Yeah, this was really quite interesting to us. 27% of people were using Ship to Store. It's amazing what people will do just to actually save on shipping costs, even if you're free shipping, and the convenience of Ship to Store and pick up in store. The Find Store capability, again, not totally surprising, but the overall site conversion went up 75%, and as a result, from a year-on-year basis, their trajectory on the e-commerce side almost doubled. It's 100% up, and these were this is their results presented at the Internet Retailer Show. So obviously very positive results there. And you keep going on this stuff here from a perspective of some of our other customers. We're working on different UI designs, how to actually do some of this stuff. Some very key customers that we're doing here, and keep working through that. So I think it's back to you, Alexander.
I think it is. So we've been talking about all these different things, and the reason why Shemaine just ran through all the different things that we've done with our mutual customers is because there is no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to growing your business, when it comes to implementing the omnichannel vision. Reality of it is there's lots of different paths to achieve what you want. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to removing the barriers between your product and the customer. And that's really the end goal of omnichannel, essentially, is to remove every possible friction point and deliver on the desire for instant gratification on the side of the shopper. There's lots of interesting statistics actually in the marketplace right now that talk about what does a delay actually does to the shopping experience. The delay, whether it be a website delay when you're processing a request, whether it be how long it takes for the store associate to be able to engage with the shopper who has a question. And what we are here to do is to simplify the process and to provide the proper tools that allow for that engagement to go without a hitch. So from the retailer's perspective, what we're looking at is really to enable you to have those best practices in your stores, to drive the inventory accuracy up, to be able to deliver on all the requests from the customer side and to exceed all the customer service standards that are out there right now and all of the customer engagement initiatives that are keep growing and keep evolving based on the consumer expectations. And introduce all the new things that historically maybe were available online into the brick and mortar and add a little bit of brick and mortar to your online experiences. So what does omnichannel look like? Is it practical? Is it feasible? What is the recipe for you in particular? So at the end of the day, each retailer is at a different point. Is it in a different process in their retail evolution? And at the end of the day, it comes down to your goals, whether it be improvement of customer experience, whether it be increasing efficiency on the back end, or conducting the business just more cohesively with a lot less friction between the channels. So when we look at our customers and we'll look at what they're focusing on, man, we can go to the next slide. There's lots of different benefits that we can discuss, and those benefits can all be accomplished with a tool set that we have available at our fingertips today. So whether it be driving traffic into your store, whether it be to create a way to communicate a consistent offering of products to the consumers. So for example, think about Nordstrom. Think about all the different ways you can engage with their platform. I don't know if you're very familiar with that retailer, but they have ways to engage with them from Pinterest to Instagram to their corporate stores to their outlets with Nordstrom Rack to the Hot Look, which is their flash sale site. Lots of different ways, but they're all blended together to guarantee that consistency of delivery and consistency of experience across the board. So on top of that, there's of course the efficiency on the retailer side, and that's the efficient use of inventory. Can you fulfill from the location closest to the customer and save on those shipping costs? Can you optimize the delivery in such a way that you're able to rebalance the inventory, which will of course result in less markdowns at the end of the season? Can you make intelligent choices that will guarantee that your profitability goes up in spite of investing into the omnichannel initiative? And on the consumer end, of course, there's other benefits. There's less wasted trips to the store for your shoppers. There are more fulfillment options. And what it really comes down to is coming up with a recipe, coming up with what it means for you to be omnichannel and defining it and building towards it. So I would encourage you to look at the companies who were the first movers, work with us closely because we have helped companies just like yours to achieve omnichannel today and see what is possible. Because in reality, omnichannel will look different, and there's different pivots based on your particular set of circumstances, and there's no one cookie cutter approach. So you need a foundation that will be able to make things happen. One of our staff, who are actually a key of product strategy person at Retail Pro, his favorite saying is, the customer shouldn't have to work to purchase from you. And I really, truly love that phrase because that's really what we're all about, making the customer experience shine through everything and making that engagement completely profitable on your side. So you have to consider the feasibility of all the different strategies for your company and what's important. Are the margins in your market sufficient to justify the scale of investment? Is it practical or pragmatic to offer the entire feature set that you want for omnichannel? Or does it make sense to create a subset that will provide the same aggressive growth as Shemaine just talked about that Erik's Bikes, for example, had? The reality is there is return on omnichannel, and there is a way to blend channels together, and there is a way to grow. So there are a few building blocks that you need to consider when you define, and we want you to consider them. We want you to pursue the dream, and we are absolutely here for you any day of the week to make it happen. So let's work together. definitely ask questions, follow up with us. We'll send you some more information in the email. And looking forward to connecting with you on the next webinars in this series as we touch on other key aspects to Omnichannel and share with you insights for what others in the industry have done that are actionable and feasible and profitable today.
Yeah. And I think the just to finish off a little bit, I think Mike's got a few questions from the audience. I think the biggest compliment from technology company perspective that the company's been getting, and when I sit up and present at shows and things, is that they come away and say, hey, you guys get retail. There's a lot of technical solutions out there. We've actually put a lot of energy together to try and make sure that we listen to our customers about the operational headaches that can possibly happen. And so having the access that we have to the Retail Pro technology and our technology, we've actually taken quite a bit of time to make sure that we deal with many, many, many operational issues and questions that have arrived. And we've come up with solutions that say, yeah, that makes sense. When we present to Forrester, etc., they talk about the barriers towards going omnichannel, and I think we've taken down those barriers. The fact that we have enterprise-wide capability from an inventory perspective, pricing perspective, consumer aspects of things. We have a very powerful promo engine that really looks after profitability and margin, and all this stuff is actually integrated back in so that we transfer invoices, receipts, or orders or sales orders for you technical guys in Retail Pro land, and we utilize some of the key technologies to actually make this all work and shadow and actually fast and scalable. Mike, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I think if we do have a few questions that have come in, I invite you to go ahead and enter your question in the interface, and we'll get to them in order. Go ahead and do that now. We do have a couple. While we're waiting for the others to come in, yeah, please don't be shy. Just enter them in there, and we'll get to them. I just want to mention one other thing that I think is important. It's the two companies have been working together, but obviously there's a whole ecosystem involved here, and so we have partnerships that we've both embraced. Folks like Cayenne, who will be on the next webinar, where omnichannel payments are a critical part of the whole equation here. Other partnerships that, for instance, email is a way that we can sort of track somebody across all of those channels. So it's really critical that you have, a valid email address for a given customer, and that email has been validated and is, checked to make sure it's accurate. And it's passed back and forth between the systems, and we can kind of correlate the shopping profile across those two systems. And so we have a relationship we've both embraced with a company, Fresh Address, and so we've got capabilities there. And those are two examples of ways that we're sort of embracing a whole ecosystem that can be involved here to make sure that we have a great omnichannel experience. Questions are coming in. Let's see. So the first one here. I work in a company that has only 5% of inventory overlap between digital and brick and mortar. Do you have other clients like us? How do you take advantage of the omnichannel offer in their cases?
Okay, interesting one. So I think the expectation from a consumer perspective is changing. I think you're going to be expected to put more and more of your inventory online. The question is, what stopped you from doing that in the past? I think part of it is it the prep work required, and the way we would actually want to work with you, see whether or not we can get more of your inventory online. You can have certain inventory online in a particular store if you carry that overlap is at 5%, but I'm assuming you actually would want to try and put more of that information online. And then the question is, how extensive is that information going to be? Could it be just a SKU level type aspect of things, or would it be the full e-commerce information? Hopefully I addressed that one.
Cool, yeah. I guess the other one's related. If one here says, if our store level inventory isn't exactly accurate, do we need to get that done first?
Okay, I think I can take that one. Yeah, we're actually working with customers at the moment who have that exact worry. And the idea is that you can start pretty quickly. And what we've built into the system is I think you go back a few screens, you can see the setback operation there. And we actually have the ability to set setbacks by SKU, by location. And one of the things that we're doing with them is that when they actually have as stores become better at actually recording their inventory, obviously there's going to be some slack in there operationally, which is the challenge. We can actually put setbacks to say, look, this particular store is only about 20% inventory accuracy. So, if something we have of is 10, yeah, show it available. Once it gets down to maybe 2, let's take it out of the online inventory so that we can change the messaging that says call to check, so that we can actually do things like that to actually get around some of that inaccuracies. And as the store gets better at their inventory levels, you can actually ease those restrictions off and actually sell closer to 0. Obviously, that's the idea, but I would say normally 1 as far as a setback. So we do have that built in to be able to cope with that.
Great. Cool. Here's another question. We are a school uniform business with several locations. Each location has unique items by school, gender, and grade. How would this work?
Okay, that's just data, I suppose. We actually have done some school uniform stuff before. We have a few customers dealing with that. So yeah, it's a matter of allocating, using some tags to make sure that we understand which schools you're looking at, and enabling or disabling the SKUs as required, either at a location. So that is possible for us to map.
Very cool. Let's see. You manage order from web only. What about order status in Retail Pro?
Status in Retail Pro. I'm just trying to understand what that is. Web only. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. Maybe you can clarify a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, we'll move on to another one here. One here says, what's the typical implementation timeline for an omnichannel site?
Okay, so the couple of pieces here, plugging into Retail Pro and ECM and getting the data is actually, believe it or not, relatively speaking, it's a short-term thing. We can do that within kind of 6 weeks or so to get the data sorted out. Normal implementation times for a full-blown kind of omnichannel website and mobile site type thing is usually 12 to 16 weeks if the data is in pretty good shape. But that's kind of like normal, the timelines that we actually run on, which is actually, from an industry perspective, pretty quick. And the fact that we do it actually fairly quickly, or can do it fairly quickly, obviously means the costs involved are lower than some of the industry aspects of things. That's for a custom type site, as you can see some of the sites that we have out there.
There's a question here about ECM. Sort of a concern about, is there any problem faced for that service, like for instance the service not started, I think is the question. Like, is there any challenges with using ECM?
Our experience on this has been very good. Because we're shadowing and the data exchange, obviously we don't actually need real-time communications, but we actually shadow stuff, and we have a lot of that. We do bi-directional communications. We understand most of the Retail Pro ECM documents back and forth, and one very powerful feature that Retail Pro has in ECM is this diffs aspects of, and we actually support that communication and protocol as well, and that allows us to actually only have to deal with differentials and changes. So if you think about think about it, and we've already done the testing on this, and we're actually in the process of we have a customer who's 90 stores, and I think they've got over 200,000 SKUs, and I can't remember exactly, I think about 1 million records in customers or something like that. The fact that we can actually deal with the differentials on that means that the data load is actually down to a manageable level, because if you think about the explosion of data packets, I think it's like 2 million bits of information every time we pull. We've actually managed to actually scale that up and make it work. I think I now understand the question a little bit about before. We actually communicate, and we actually, in Retail Pro terms, I think they call on the surface it's called receipts, but we also, in the technology side, it's the invoices. We actually do bidirectional invoices and SOs, so we are able to actually gather all that information.
Okay, good. We've got a couple of other questions that are related here, so I'll read both of them. One is, we're running version 8 of Retail Pro. Are we able to offer Omnichannel with this system? And then another question is integration possible with all versions of Retail Pro, as in version 9 and Prism?
Well, the good news is yes. It's slightly different with version 8. Actually, I think the Mexicali solution is with version 8, and I think the Joe's Jeans one is actually version 9 in Prism. But yeah, the foundation is that the good news is that ECM works with both. The data sets are slightly different, but we're able to cope with that.
Another question here. In switching to pickup in store, what are the operational issues to consider?
In switching to pickup in store. Obviously, I think we actually have some more presentation on this as we went through the Erik spikes, but I think the key things is to make sure that the teams in the stores are well incented to make sure that this thing happens smoothly. So, some of the advice is that they should be compensated for some of this stuff. But operationally, obviously accuracy of inventory and getting the process to, if somebody gets the alert that says somebody's coming in, making sure that somebody goes to the right interfaces to actually do the signification work, etc. We've put for example, we put in a feature that allows our interfaces to be managed from a perspective of access by the local store managers, etc. So it really is about getting the team in place and having some operational procedures that says, okay, I have this, I'm going to go back here, I'm going to sideline it. You need to put some policies in place to say, okay, what happens? And we'll take care of the things like reminding people to pick things up and all that kind of jazz, because we actually have the statuses of it. But operationally, you have to put policies and say, okay, if this isn't picked up in 5 days, then it just goes back in. Again, we're taking an authorization, or we can actually not take an authorization, just take the order, and you can actually, there's many ways of doing this, and actually take the actual money in the store. So there's many permutations that we've worked through on this. We see our job in this particular case is to get the information to the consumer so that they can take action and hand it off to the store to make it a smooth transaction.
Very cool. I think this one's for Alexandra. They're asking about how do you support, events and pop-up stores and things like that.
Very easily. Retail Pro has very flexible licensing, so it allows us to be able to upscale and downscale as needed. In fact, we have several customers who, one recent one that comes to mind, we just ran a story for them in Europe. They are a cosmetics retailer, and they're generally a wholesaler, but a few times a year they participate in industry events that allow them to go and have hosted pop-up stores, basically, in key locations around Europe, so they use us for that. Another customer that we have that uses that, think NASCAR, think stadiums and stuff like that, when they travel and they need, during the game season, quote unquote, they have much higher licensing needs than they do off-season, and we're able to support that, so that's not a concern at all.
Terrific. There's, I think, one more question. If you have any other questions, please put them in there. I think I understand what's being asked here, but I think maybe Shameen, this is for you. What is the possibility for e-commerce company with its retail vendors, and how does UniteU facilitate that? I think maybe what they're asking is maybe alternate e-commerce platforms, and can we facilitate those? I'm not quite sure.
Okay. We do have some capability of supporting others as well. I think that's stuff we haven't totally mapped out yet. but that's some of the things that we're thinking about because of this really tight integration aspect of things. We would have to figure out what, I think that's the question, if that's the question, but we're definitely open to some discussion on that because the foundation aspect of what we're doing is it's pretty cool and could be leveraged by others.
Terrific. Well, I think we've gotten to the end of our list here. We appreciate your attendance here. For more information, you've seen the addresses here. You can reach out to either UniteU or Retail Pro for more information. We look forward to seeing you on the next iteration of this webinar series, which will be Wednesday, September 30th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. We'll have our partner Cayenne, our mutual partner Cayenne, who will be presenting a detailed, in-depth discussion around omnichannel payments. You'll also receive a survey. We'd invite you to fill that out and give us the feedback that we would love to have. And thank you very much for your attendance, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
And for those of you who've asked the questions, hopefully we answered it, but if you want to just write to us, I'm sure we'll actually give you some more detailed discussion about that. Again, as Alexandra said, a lot of different flavors. You can start in many different places on this. Again, it's just a matter of getting a plan together once we get the foundation and work through that, and that's generally how we've been working with our customer sets. Thank you very much again. Alexandra?
Thank you.